Hey everybody, Icy Cat here. Today I want to talk to you about the new operator Blackbeard that's going to be coming out for tomorrow's new DLC update for Dustline. Is he any good? Let's find out in this first sneak peek impression for Blackbeard. Blackbeard is the first of two new operators from the Navy SEALs that are coming as part of the Dustline content. He's an attacker, and he's got a few weapons here that we can take a look at. The first is the MK-17 CQB assault rifle. This is pretty much just the SCAR assault rifle. It's got really powerful damage but lower ammo capacity and a somewhat moderate rate of fire. Next up, he's got the SR-25. This is a marksman rifle, otherwise sometimes known as a DMR. It's single shot, but it does decent damage. And for a pistol, he's packing a 50 caliber Action Express Desert Eagle with a choice of flashbangs or breaching charges. Blackbeard's special ability is the deployable rifle shield. This is, as you can see, a transparent bulletproof glass shield that goes onto the front of the gun. You can take it on and off as needed. It's great for peeking in murder holes or navigating down tight corridors. You can drop prone with it and protect yourself, and you can aim down the sights with it and even lean out while you're doing so. And it protects your upper chest, shoulders, and head from taking any damage. It is in effect a small riot shield that attaches onto the front of your gun that you can see through, and it is very powerful. You have plenty of protection for your head. You can aim down the sights as much as you want. There's no real penalty to doing so. The only penalty you have in the game is that when it is attached, you move like a heavy armor class, even though he's a medium armor class character. When you take the shield off, he moves like a medium again, and I'll demonstrate that a little later. But there's not a lot of downside to just keeping this shield on at all times. And I'm going to even show you one more. Let's demonstrate this here. I'm going to show you what the recoil pattern looks like on fully automatic burst without the shield. So as you can see here, we have a fairly standard vertical climb on our grouping. And now let's back up and put on that same deployable shield. And this time we're going to see how our grouping is really tightly clustered. And you have like this insane accuracy bonus to keeping the shield on. And when I look at the advantage of that versus, okay, I just move a little slower, I mean, who's not going to take that accuracy bonus every single time? Let's just demonstrate that again here, making sure that I back up against the wall both times so we have a consistent range. And, right up against the wall here, and there we go. We've got this way tighter cluster for when we open up fire. There's a little bit more horizontal skew to it, but the vertical climb is so much more centered. And I'm just going to show this here with some penetration too, so you can see, we'll put on that shield, and again, we'll get a far tighter grouping when we engage in fire this way. So, there you go. That's a pretty powerful incentive to use this thing. Another great way you can use it is if you have a murder hole. I'm going to take a moment here to just kind of create one of my own by bashing this open. But when you have the shield filling that murder hole, there's not much that anybody can do to deal with that. You can literally fill the hole with the shield, toss in a flashbang like that, disorient the defenders that might be in the room, and then go ahead and pick them off. Now, of course, you can fire through the material that's around it and get some body shots on him, but most people tend to respond to the area where the murder hole is centered, and it's just a powerful technique. So here I'm showing you what the movement speed is. He's running at a slower speed. He runs as though he's a heavy with the riot shield attached to the front of the weapon. If you take it off, he reverts to moving like the medium speed that he truly is. So the only advantage to running without the shield is that you have faster movement speed. Honestly, I've found that that's useful for moving up to the structure, and then I just put on the shield and I keep it on and never really have any reason to ever take it off. He's super powerful for peeking. You can check your windows, check your corners. Again, throw on a flashbang and just sort of control a room. It's not just in that kind of a position either. When you have a situation where you're rappelling and on a window, let's check this out and demonstrate this here. So let's put the shield on, invert, and pop some holes in this window here. And you can see that as long as you don't expose too much of your actual body, you're not presenting enough of a target for them to actually hit. They can shoot your shield all day long, and the only effect that that's going to have is it's going to put the bullet marks on your shield, but really, who cares about that? It doesn't deter anything enough for me to not be using this. And as long as you're controlling your angles and not exposing too much of yourself, you're all but invincible. I mean, sure, they can toss a nitro cell at you, or they can come outside and flank you while you're on the rappel. But otherwise, you're going to be dominating window positions, especially if you're inverted or something like that. You're just going to be very, very hard to hit. I mean, you'll be taking rounds that should be going to your head, and they're just going to bounce off your shield pretty much. We'll kind of show that here again. So you're just sitting in a window, and as long as you're not exposing too much of yourself, you can just kind of peek in and control the room. And even if they return fire, it's just going to bounce off your shield. And I saw this demonstrated many times during the playtesting. It's definitely a great thing for peekers. If you like to do kind of that back and forth sliding thing as you peek out around corners and such, you're going to have a lot of protection while you do so. And again, you can be body hit, but with the ability to slide back behind that corner very quickly, it's really not that big of a deal. So as it stands right now, I really don't see a whole lot of downside to just using the shield at all times. The only penalties are that you move more slowly and that the shield will take the impact glass damage similar to what you'll see on Blitz or one of the other shield operators. And those are really not big disadvantages. Those are things that can be lived with and quite easily, frankly, for the benefits that you get out of it. What I would rather see them do is put in some kind of a system where maybe you have a fatigue element. When that happens, maybe after ADSing for 5 seconds, the front of the gun maybe starts to drift downward due to the weight, or maybe, it just starts to kind of like sway side to side or something from, the stress of keeping the weight of it held up that long. Maybe you could even do something else. I've heard some people suggest that, well, maybe the shield could be shattered and destroyed after it takes a couple of impacts. I wouldn't want to see that. I mean, that defeats the purpose of the gadget. You don't want to have something that's just like, oh, it saved me from one headshot and now it's gone, it's useless. Have something in there that does something, maybe like a buffeting effect. When you're under sustained fire from this thing, you can return fire and not have any noticeable change to your recoil at all. And having something where maybe, I think the actual default shield operators get like a 4.5 times multiplier on the penalty for their aim. When you're hip firing and you're under sustained fire, you can actually see your crosshairs like spread apart as you're under that barrage of fire. It's something like that might be good to see here. If they're doing it at all on this, it needs to be done more because I can't notice it. So, having something like that in play could also be a way to balance this out a little bit more. But right now, he's just, pretty much invincible to headshots as long as you use him properly. And again, if you do something like controlling him on windows or things like that, you're pretty much unstoppable as long as you're careful about how much of yourself you expose. So I'm going to call it right now that this guy is going to get some kind of a nerf at some point down the road, because otherwise he's just going to be a little bit too overpowered for general use. Now, that said, he's a fun operator. I love his weapons. The Scar is great. Even the marksman rifle that he has, the SR-25, is fun for a marksman rifle if you enjoy playing with those kinds of weapons. And he has, just overall, just very, very cool ability. It just needs to have a little bit of balance to it. And that's my initial first impression for Blackbeard. He'll be available starting tomorrow for anybody with a season pass, and then on May 18th for everybody without one. In my next video, I'll be giving you my initial impressions about the Defender Valkyrie. And later on today, I'll also be giving a first look at the border map. And if you haven't already, please like and subscribe to stay up to date on all the latest info for Rainbow Six Siege, or follow IcyCat25 on either Facebook or Twitter. Thanks a lot, everybody, for watching. We'll see you next time.